episode of Bitcoin Live, and today we have a really awesome guest. Krista Kim is on the show, an amazing artist, NFT artist, crypto artist, but I think you're also way before crypto a really big artist. Could you introduce yourself to the people who are watching?
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm a digital artist. I've been practicing digital art since 2013. I used to paint before then. I practiced abstract Japanese painting. I trained in Japan. I was living there for 3.5 years. And I was really inspired by living in Japan and, going to Kyoto. I was living in Tokyo. I go to Kyoto at least 3 or 4 times a year. And it was there where I was really amazed by the power of art and how an underlying philosophy of Zen Buddhism can actually, permeate through every aspect of a person's life in Kyoto, because you have, Zen architecture, you have the Zen gardens, the kaiseki cuisine, the fashion, everything translates from that core value system of Zen and, empty mind and, having the tranquility. And so for me, as an artist, I had my epiphany artistically at a Zen garden in Kyoto, at the Ryoenji Temple Garden, one of the oldest in the world. And when I encountered this garden, I learned through meditating in front of the garden, just being in the presence of it and just, witnessing the design elements of the garden, it really calmed my mind and my state into a Zen state of consciousness. And the reason why is because it's the actual design and the intention of the design, the space between the big rocks, and it's quite bare and minimalist, but it empties your mind because it's an empty space, right? So yeah, so that really got me into the whole frame of mind that an artist creates a mirror of the mind for the viewer. And so my digital art has always been of that frequency where I want to, create a meditative space, a space of pure consciousness through digital. The screen can be used as a medium for meditativeness and healing through the light frequencies, and you can also combine it with sound, healing sound frequencies to change your brain state. So this has been my exploration for since 2014, when I wrote the Techism Manifesto, up until now, and iterations now into NFTs. So it's quite exciting.
Yeah, it's your work is really meditative. I mean, for people who don't know, you make very beautiful colored glass. I think it's sort of plexiglass, right?
Yes, it's UV print on plexi, correct?
Yeah, which is usually used in architecture, but you use it in fine art.
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
And personally, I'm also a big lover of Japan. I haven't ever been there. My brother has, but I love the culture. I love the history, and I love most of Japanese culture and history. So, but Shintoism, of course, comes to mind. And the meditative aspect of your work really shines through. But could you elaborate a little bit about Techism?
Right. So, back in 2013, I was going through a very difficult period of my life. And I was suffering from depression and anxiety, and it was crippling. So I had to find a way to, to treat myself, to get better. I learned meditation. So I took lessons in transcendental meditation, and I have never stopped since the first day I started in 2013. I practice it twice a day. It has literally become the cure for me in not only ending my anxiety and helping me get through my depression, but it actually helped me find who I was. And I think that, at the core of that whole experience, I didn't know who I was, and being lost as a human being is a very stressful experience. So meditation for me was bringing me to the light, and it also helped me as an artist, because I believe your best work is when you truly are connected to who you are and
Yeah.
you're able to express it in a crystal clear way through your medium.
Yeah, and also
So,
going through problems and
yeah.
pain and effort is also, that translates into great art usually.
Yes, exactly. So, so Techism, it really, for me, I kind of insensitive to, human responses to our environment and socially also. And I was seeing that, back in 2013, the iPhone was still relatively new, right? And we were participating on new apps like Facebook and WhatsApp. And I felt like, yeah, we're connecting with so many friends, but are we really friends and are we really being humane? Are these platforms actually facilitating humane interactions between human beings? Once again, it comes down to design and the intention of the design of these platforms. And I thought that companies like Facebook and very powerful companies like Google, the FANG companies, Facebook, Apple, Google, etc., they all actually, Apple actually is a very artistically inclined company. But
Yeah.
if you look at Facebook, at the inception of that company, if there was an artist at the table, it would be a very different company to what it is today, right? So
Yeah.
I actually believe that artists and creatives should be at the forefront of technological innovation and have a say of where the technology is going, how it's developing, because we're the ones that are the bridge between the technology and humanity. We're the bridge. We make technology humane. So um, that's Techism. It's a call to action for artists to really recognize that the leading edge of technology is a medium of art. It
Yeah.
can be a wonderful creative tool to make the world a better place. So we collaborate with engineers and entrepreneurs. We become entrepreneurs to be at the leading edge and to create a new culture, because that's exactly what we're doing right now. There's so much disruption in the world
Yes. Yeah.
that we are actually dealing right now with a blank canvas of how the future will be, because all the technology that we are creating right now has never been before. So we're really paving a new way, and that is where the visionary is very important, because what the visionary sees, they will act and create, and that's where society will go. That's where society will flow. So it's a really big responsibility if you're a creative right now, especially to think about humanity first.
Yeah. So McLuhan was, of course, famous for saying the medium is the message. And
Correct.
how I interpret your Techism is that you want to uh, change the medium through art and to make it more humane and to reflect humanity back to itself. And otherwise it becomes part of big tech and nameless faces, and it becomes very alienating, basically.
Correct. It becomes a blunt instrument of commerce. And we don't want to live in a machine society. We want to live in a humane society, right? So the more alienating the technology, I would say the more it tears away at our social fabric. And I believe the Capitol riots are a perfect example of, the cataclysm in the world after over a decade of, social media and algorithms that are tearing us apart, and not, it doesn't promote communication and consensus, right? It promotes echo chambers and misinformation. So this is what happens when, we are actually exposed to information on a daily basis that doesn't serve us, and the technology is not designed to make us, our society a better place. Technology and technological companies, they're all in the business of culture, whether they know it or not, whether they like it or not, because all of the design elements that, make these micro behaviors of how we react, how we associate with one another, all of these micro behaviors that we practice on a daily basis, that informs our culture as a whole. If billions of people are practicing the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, and you also made some amazing NFTs, and I think making a bridge, this is like an NFT and crypto platform. And I think NFTs and crypto, and especially Bitcoin, they kind of make more humane our world where we live in by decentralizing it and bringing it back to the people. And you're, of course, very active also within NFTs. And you made the
Yes.
Mars House. And for those people, and virtual real estate, of course, you're also connected to Superworld. We also love Superworld. Could you tell us a little bit more about how that works and what it means for you? And how do you envision virtual real estate, and how does your art does your art fit into that?
Yeah, so I think I should rewind to 2018 when I read the book by Dr. Shoshana Zuboff, the Harvard professor of economics, who she wrote about surveillance capitalism. And it opened my eyes, and it also kind of got me very scared and paranoid about the concentrated powers of these tech companies of data, because data is the new oil, data is power, right? Nobody really talks about that in the media, that data is a currency, and it actually is our human right to have data sovereignty. At least it should be. It should be written into a human rights code, but it's not. It's just taken from us, right? So I didn't like the way that the current economic structure was going. That was really affecting our future, the future of our children. You know, I have two kids, so I'm really, you know, concerned about their future, and I don't want them to be stuck in a matrix with that preys on them all the time. So last December, actually, it was during the height of the COVID crisis. I created the Mars House during the height of the COVID crisis. You know, I'm in my condo, and I'm like, okay, well, I have to escape mentally from all of this and just create a beautiful world and get really positive and envision a better future. So that was what Mars House was about. It's about harnessing the technology and the screens and creating beauty, creating healing, you know, substrates in architecture, creating a home that heals out of, you know, the latest technology. And so that's also a paradigm shift of how we associate ourselves with technology, not just as passive consumers from concentrated powers that tell us how we should use the technology, but as actively co-creating in what technology can be, right? Being creative. So Mars House was an incredible journey for me, and Kyoto was really right there staring me at the face as I was like creating the Mars House, that the Zen of the 21st century, bringing that tradition into the NFT age and beyond, right? So I finished that project last May, between March and May. And then December rolls around, and I was really concerned about money printing around the world. And you know, I then began to discover Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I learned about just last December. So I'm kind of new to this, but I love it because I realized that decentralization and Bitcoin, you know, the wealth transfer, the power transfer to the people is essential in order to prevent a dystopian future where concentrated powers control the masses. We don't want that. It's not good. But if we have a trustless-based system that is already, you know, smart contracts and, you know, smart money, then people can actually flourish, and people don't have to worry about getting screwed all the time, right? So we can actually be creative and you know, build a beautiful world together. So for me, I saw the greater you know, macroeconomic and social impact and the future potential of decentralization. And then I started to research blockchain and art. I Googled that, and NFTs came up, and I was like, whoa, NFTs. And then Super Rare came up, and then I signed up right away, and I was whitelisted for February. And I began to experiment with the platform and mint my art. And it was such an amazing experience. I loved it. And getting into the community. And then in March, I decided to mint the Mars House because I had an incredible conversation with Rish Lotlikar, who's the CEO of Superworld. He had reached out to me in February after I'd minted like my first piece. And I was like, Superworld, what's that about? So I had a meeting with him, and he was telling me all about this incredible platform, which is the portal to our XR hyper reality. Like we are all going to be living an AR lifestyle within
Yeah.
3 to 5 years, right? And
Yeah.
Superworld is basically the portal to that reality. So I knew that we could upload 3D digital assets and have them in our actual space and experience them, enjoy them. And I thought architecture, I thought I have a beautiful house that I would love to upload in AR or XR in VR and
Yeah.
experience and live in and enjoy. And so I thought, oh my God, I mean, it's now is the time. I
Yeah.
must mint this house. And so I really didn't know how the market would respond because it was the first metaverse um, work of art, really. I mean, substantial work, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and I thought, wow, so we'll see how it goes. Will this house not only be recognized as the next generation of NFTs, will it be understood, right? Will there be a collector with a vision, a visionary viewpoint of the future of where things are going in the world? Will this person understand? I was very lucky to connect with Art on Internet, who found the work, and we had incredible conversations about the piece before he finalized the purchase. And it's such an inspiring moment in time to be alive. I have to say that.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. It's like a roller coaster. What you say with the money printing. That's also why we got involved in crypto.
Absolutely.
We kind of worried about where it was going, and then suddenly Bitcoin came on our radar, and then we thought that might be the answer. And then we got
Yes.
reading more and more about it, and then we came across NFTs. And yeah, me and my brother, we love art, so it became a crypto NFT platform. And but somebody asked a really interesting question: do you see art and decentralization in the same light?
Yes. I think that art is a form of decentralization.
Yeah.
I think that, expressing yourself and being an individual sovereign human being, I think expressing yourself and creating art and being yourself is a rebellious act, right? And you're being yourself, and that's part of decentralized culture. I think that it's healthy, and I think decentralization represents the ultimate sovereignty of the individual. Being able to go out into the world and have your everyday transactions, the everyday things, the business of life, but doing it in a trustless-based system. I mean, that frees up so much energy to
Yeah.
create. And as an artist, being part of an NFT platform and having the ability to have many collectors see my work and the accessibility of it. Before, in the traditional model, we would have to wait for an exhibition, and that would take maybe once a year, and it would be very costly to put on shows, especially if you're putting your own exhibitions, producing your own. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
And with this platform, it's efficient and it's fair. You get royalty payments for each
Yeah.
resale, and you get paid instantly. So there's no funny business in the transactions after your pieces are sold. So it's security, and yeah, it's a wonderful experience. I love it.
And like you say, everybody can join, so it will also release creative potential from all over the world, and also
Yes.
between rich and poor, because basically the poor can also join in and let their voices be heard. So in that way, also NFTs allow people of developing countries also to make amazing art and to compete on an equal footing with developed countries, which is something
Right.
me and my brother are very passionate about.
Same
And
here.
yeah, and you see it, of course, with El Salvador embracing Bitcoin right now, and
Yeah.
in those little villages that are working on the Lightning Network and showing that you can actually build an economy on that scale, and it works.
Mm, mm.
Yeah, that the NFT space will basically do the same thing for for people all over the world.
Absolutely. I also love the opportunity because, as an artist, when you do sell your work on a platform, the majority of, that capital comes back to the artist. So you're reinvesting into your own career and your own future. And so, you know, that is never that system on such a broad scale has never existed before. So you're really empowering the creative class, right? And when you
Yeah,
empower the creative class in a society, then that society flourishes. Because I'll tell you why. It's because the artists love to share beauty with the
yeah,
community. The artist lives for creating beautiful moments and sharing, and so if you empower creative communities, you're actually making a healthier society. It's good for mental health. It's good for everyone. With the sale of the Mars House, the majority of the proceeds are actually invested into the Continuum Foundation, which finances a global tour of healing sound and light installation. So Jeff Schroeder, who's the guitarist of the Smashing Pumpkins,
yeah.
he is actually writing meditative music on his electric guitar, and we are collaborating on a tour where I will put up large LED walls in different cities around the world and do like pop-ups, and people can go there and they feel an altered state of consciousness. It's like meditative, especially with the music that Jeff is going to perform. We're starting in Toronto, August 20th to 22nd.
Oh,
Then we're going to Venice the week of September 13th. And then we're going to Miami for the first week of December during Miami Basel and beyond. So if it weren't for the NFT and the Mars House, this is my dream that I've been planning for 3 years. And people know about this because I was stomping the pavement trying to get sponsorship funding for this. No, I mean, it's the NFT that's allowing artists to really pursue these passion projects, to make the world a better place. And especially when you have NFTs with multiple wallets that are attached to the NFT, you can attach a nonprofit to the NFT.
yeah.
So that also makes art into a mechanism for actually creating positive change in the world. And that's very exciting too.
Yeah, it's really nice that NFTs bring it back to the individual, and the individual almost have a complete say over where the money is going and what to do with it. So it's a very personal based economy that is being created.
Yes,
And what I also really like, or what we really like, is how the NFT world and crypto world makes it possible for people all over the world to communicate, to collaborate together. Exactly what you're also doing. It opens so many
absolutely.
doors, so many vistas. It's incredible. And sometimes you hear the term renaissance being
Mm.
dropped. What's your view on like a new cultural renaissance?
I actually agree. As I'd mentioned before, I believe that when you're empowering the creative class, then you're actually unleashing a creative renaissance. But
Yeah,
right now the NFT space is quite limited, realistically. I mean, you have very limited numbers of platforms, and many are actually popping up, which is fantastic. But really, I mean, NFTs are not just art, right? NFTs are going to expand into 3D experiences that's beyond art. So think about Superworld. We're going to have 3D animated and programmable experiential NFTs that are available, in AR. So you wear your glasses, and imagine you go to a birthday party for a 3-year-old. You have teddy bears that are, popping out of the birthday cakes. You have balloons in AR. You have fireworks, spelling out the name of your daughter. I mean, these are all experiential, NFTs in the future. And
yes,
so we're not limited to just art. We're also expanding into incredible new creative ways of monetizing, and we're getting away from the dollar store and waste, and we're heading into sustainability and XR lifestyles. So it's very exciting. And you know what I'm most excited about?
tell me.
Fashion.
Yeah, I
Fashion.
saw. Yeah, I really love those dresses with those colors, those changing colors. It's like, wow.
I mean, you could really imagine what life will be when we're walking down the streets and we're wearing AR glasses that Apple will come out with within the next couple years. And we're all basically in awe of all the beautiful color and self-expression. I think people are going to be less conformist and more unique. And I think that's going to be much more amazing too. I mean, I think that uniqueness and authenticity is going to be more valued culturally,
Yeah,
because decentralization is all about that. Decentralization is taking away from, centralized ideas or power, or it's more, decentralizing and allowing others to express themselves. There's no like core way of doing it, right? There's no centralized way. There are many ways. Things become a network, right?
yeah,
And authentic. So that's going to be a very interesting phenomenon culturally. And I also look at the metaverse and how the metaverse is going to create a transcendent culture, right? We're all going to be, yeah. Look at children right now playing in Roblox. They are playing from all parts of the globe, and they are co-creating on this game platform. They are creating their own homes. They're
yeah,
designing their own homes. They're getting excited about creating their own world. Now,
yeah,
these are basically taught now to them. These are like values and ways of thinking that they're going to actually bring into the future within the next 10 years. People are going to want to co-create and be
yeah,
decentralized. So brands, they have to be so open to becoming, co-creators with their followers of what the brand is. And the metaverse is creating that culture where, every brand, every organization, every celebrity is going to have a metaverse, and
yeah,
people are like socializing a metaverse. People date, marry, buy real estate on metaverse, and so it's a transcendent experience of life. So we are rising above the current existing and archaic divisions and structures of society. So when you're floating on in a cloud and you're living above that, how can you erase that from your mind? I
yeah,
think you'll want to stay there. And I think that more and more younger generations, as they get older, become adults, they're going to be more and more open to transcendent, uh, you know, ways of thinking about the world where we're global, we're all connected, and we're not political, there's no nation, the nation state is not important anymore. What's important is the sovereign being and how we live in the world the way we want. We're co-creating.
yeah. These are really interesting topics that you raise, and of course, it will be quite literally a transcendent experience
Yeah.
because you're basically losing touch, maybe also maybe losing little touch with the real reality. Or how do you see that? Because I sometimes
Yeah.
when I think about crypto art and NFTs, I love it. But I
Mm.
also sometimes worry a little bit about the base layer of reality and schizophrenia,
Mm.
maybe. And because when all those voices enter at the same time and everybody is, yeah,
Mm.
representing themselves,
Mm.
is there still a coherence to you? Because
Mm.
basically you're also in meditation, and there's
Yeah.
would be like an overstimulus of everything.
Well, you're so right. You're bringing up so many valid points and things that I'm concerned of as an artist. I believe that mental health is so essential, and I think that ever since we suffered through COVID, a global pandemic, everyone in the world, no one can deny that self-care is very important in mental health. So people are more focused on that now, which is a great thing. But I want to bring that into the culture of digital through an artistic practice so that it becomes more mainstream. Because I think that meditation will save us from the machine and art will save us from ourselves. Meditation will save us from the machine, because right now the machine, this device here right now, these are addictive devices. You
Yes.
know, they give us dopamine hits. They are designed, you know, with the leading science of addiction to actually make us more addicted. Eyes are real estate. So the
Yeah.
longer we spend on social media and these platforms, the more money they make. And so, you know, I think that we need to control our minds more. We have to be more in control of the, you know, the actual functioning of the brain, because it's being rewired through the devices that we use. Meditation does that because it actually strengthens the prefrontal cortex. And the prefrontal cortex is what really, you know, strengthens our executive functioning, right? And our
Yes.
self-control, our willpower, if you will. It
Yeah.
makes us more in control of ourselves and know ourselves. And you find that a lot of children who suffer trauma, or you know, who are like juvenile delinquents, you know, have a tendency to don't have self-control or violent rage. It's because there's actual brain damage in the prefrontal cortex. But meditation can actually increase the gray matter of that segment of the brain. So it's science, right?
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
of course, you have the spiritual connection of meditation, which is beautiful. And then art will save us from ourselves, because I believe that with greater technology, there is a risk that we can actually become, um, you know, tech zombies, that we can actually be controlled
Mhm.
by the technology. If we're not able to really think of ourselves as the master of the technology instead of the passive consumer, right?
Yeah.
So art is a practice that basically teaches us how to express ourselves. And I have to say, right now, at this age, we need to have that skill more than ever, because we need to be creative in order to survive. Because all of the how would you say, repetitive jobs, these jobs that require simply desk jobs, they're going to be taken over by AI. Computational skills, AI, robots. Okay, so how are we going to thrive as
Yeah.
individuals going into the 21st century and beyond? Creativity. And that's art. And I'm not talking about art as a painting or digital art. I'm talking about being like an artist, thinking like an artist, where you think for yourself, you're creative, and you create solutions to solve the world's problems, right? We can't,
Yeah.
we can't rely on getting an university degree and getting a job for the rest of our lives. The world is different now. Technology is changing. There's so much disruption. In chaos, there's a lot of opportunity, and the opportunity lies in creative solutions. Because if you could solve a problem in the world, then you have a business. So entrepreneurship, art, creativity, these are very, very important. Yeah.
I totally agree, and people will have to be able to reinvent themselves continuously. So that's like a art process of art, but you
Absolutely.
continually reinventing yourself and finding yourself anew. And I think what you said about meditation and keeping yourself grounded will be very important. I think something like programming or some other skill would also be very important, that you can see behind the matrix, and it's kind of like meditation. And
Absolutely.
um, it's kind of interesting because when you look at history, it all started with you could say Prometheus, by bringing technology to the people, and now it seems to
Yes.
end with
The
Prometheus,
fire.
the fire.
Yes.
And we have to be careful, like you said, that it
The
doesn't
fire of the
consume.
gods.
So
That's true.
we always say in the program that yeah, you shouldn't let technology lead you. You should lead technology. So I
Yes.
totally agree with what you say, because a lot of people are
Yes.
mesmerized with the technology, but then they forget, technology is there for us. We're not
Yes.
there for technology, and that's
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yes. It's all about the power of intention, and everything is a question of design, right? Every aspect of our world has been designed by another human being. Think about that, right? So it doesn't have to be the way that it is. And I always, I always encourage my children to have a very inquisitive mind and question everything, right? Question every system that exists in the world and understand where it comes from, what's the history behind it, even the meaning behind words and
yeah,
everything that we do. There's
Yeah.
history, but it derives from an intention. And so that's the world that we live in right now. But right now it's exciting because there's so much possibility of the world that we want to create. And for me as an artist, when I created the Mars House, it was in my imagination, and really I just realized that the artist brain is an XR brain. We already have an imagination that sees a parallel existence of something that isn't there, and that's XR. So I was already experiencing the Mars House, and I was already imagining myself in it. But then right now it's on Spatial, and I actually invite everyone to come to Spatial. I have tours on Spatial for Mars House VR. Sign up on Evite and on the Spatial website.
Wow.
You can come visit on Fridays and Saturdays. Fridays at 5 p.m. at EST, Saturdays at 8 p.m. EST for people in Asia, South Pacific. And so basically, for me, being in the Mars House and experiencing it in Spatial with my Oculus Quest 2, it was such a cathartic experience for me because I really felt like it was such a great moment to be alive as an artist, to have this incredible team of talented people to make this happen, right? To have it come to life, and I'm in the freaking house, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like walking around, and I'm like hanging out in it, and like inviting people to it, and everyone, it blows our mind what's possible. And you know what? The space is early. The
Yes.
technology's early. So when you consider that, within 5 years, these XR experiences are going to be on par with reality and physical
Yes.
experiences, almost indistinguishable. And that is going to be incredible. And that's so powerful. That technology is so powerful. We need artists at the forefront of that technological innovation, not companies first. It's humanity first, because it's so powerful. We don't want that power in the wrong hands, and we want to make sure it's decentralized. Right. So let's start from the right footing. Let's start with the right foundation. And that's the mission, right? I knew that I had a really big responsibility in my hands as being at the forefront to really set the pace and set the tone, set the intention for the rest of humanity.
And Japan is such an interesting land in that regard because it has all these features that you're actually talking about. It has a very grand history, and the Japanese are very proud of their history and they study their history, but also study other histories to keep you grounded. But they also have a really focus on natural objects, like the tea ceremony, for example, like meditation of particular objects to really keep the mind still or bring it to a still. So my question for you is, how do you keep the physical inside the virtual? Because I'm super excited and I see all the possibilities with AR and VR, and basically it's like one giant dislocation. It's also, the sense of space and location will completely change in the future. Where you are at the moment, you can be everywhere at the same time, basically. But how do you keep
Yeah.
it centered?
Wow. It really is. So once again, it is a question of design and how you want to utilize the technology. So this is why I'm a global ambassador for Superworld, because I really believe in the core value of the company, which is to use AR to make the world a better place
Yes.
and to really, really strive to make humanity better, right? Not to exploit humanity. We're decentralized. We're all about democratization. We're about co-ownership and empowering everyone to participate as owners and participants in this incredible future that we're building. So your question is about, are we going to live in a future where we are sucked into the XR experience and we leave our real world behind? No, I believe that what we're going to do is we're going to enhance the real world. And we can do that on many fronts, especially sustainability and saving the planet. I believe that we can actually use NFTs as a mechanism and a vehicle to finance these initiatives to make the world a better place. And I think that if, we have the crypto revolution that is bringing, political power and capital into the hands of people, regular people who want positive change, who actually care about the future of the planet. If we have more of that responsibility and we're empowered to take action, we can also design NFT based initiatives that actually
Yes.
save the planet, right?
Yeah.
Right. And we can also look into medical. I mean,
Yeah.
think about the future of medicine also in these platforms, and how AR interfaces are going to really reduce the number of people going to hospitals at all. You don't even have to do that. AR can actually help you with devices, with your biodata, have preventative care,
Yes.
help you with your diet, help you with your exercise regime, but really integrate that as an AR experience and enhance the real life that you live, right? I don't believe in sucking your energy and your human capital into VR. I don't think that that's a very valuable use of your time. I think it's entertainment, and I think it's fun for a few hours a week, but I don't think that it's a healthy thing if you're spending more time than that. I think that your human capital and your energy and your focus should be toward making your life, enriching your life, and finding ways to, really give back to the world, make the world a better place. That will fulfill you as a human being, and that will make society better around the world.
I agree, and I think that's a very good goal, a good initiative, and yeah, like I said, I love your art, and I think you're doing great work. And I was also wondering, because you're making really meditative kind of works, how do those colors
Yes.
work within your art? Could you tell us a little bit more about your use of color?
Yeah, so when I was living in Singapore, I was doing my master's in fine art in Singapore in 2013 when I started to transfer into the digital as a medium. I really didn't know how to use. I didn't know how to make digital art, first of all, and but then when you're meditating, you get a lot of intuitive hits, right?
Yeah.
Messages, and so the message at that time was really engage with light. Light is the new ink, right? And so I began to investigate LED lights, because LED lights are emitted from our devices and we don't even really pay attention to the fact that it's light. We just see it as screens and messages and information. But really it is light, it's LED light. So I wanted to really investigate that light and see if you can use it to heal, right? Because I was looking for something. I wanted to create a sublime experience using the digital medium, using the screen. And that was my thesis, light and the sublime. Really, really understanding from Marshall McLuhan's teachings, actually, that the medium is the message. He was really concerned with how the electronic age was altering human beings
Yeah.
physiologically, socially, geopolitically, and the entire world. And when you're using a technology, it's not only just the TV show that you're watching. You're actually being affected as a human being, and how the entire human race is going to evolve because of the technology, right? So I
Yeah.
was actually looking at the digital device, the handheld smartphone, our screens in that way, and digital technology itself. And so I thought, okay, well, we really need to find a way to bring meditativeness into the modern age. I used LED lights as my initial sort of pigment, if you will. And I gathered images of LED lights and I began to, play with that. And I just created my own technique just out of mistake. It was really just a matter of experimenting, and that it was a mistake. The artwork literally just popped out at me. All of a
Wow.
sudden, I was like, oh my God, like I have something, right? My Genesis piece actually was in my graduation show, and it's currently collected by my good friend Trevor Healy, who's a Silicon Valley angel investor who's based in Singapore, very dear friend. I call that piece a Genesis piece. And it's literally like looking at the translation of light through code, how it is translated onto the screen, and how you can retranslate it again when it's in printed format as an artwork.
Mm.
And that has been a wonderful journey that I've been embarking on ever since. And I actually translated that now into video and now into the Mars House architecture. I did a collaboration in 2018 with Lanvin, the fashion brand, the haute couture fashion brand, the oldest one in France.
Wow.
We did a collection. My art was printed on the fabric in Italy, and leather. We did sneakers. We did handbags. That collaboration and working with Olivier Lapidus, the creative director, really opened my eyes. And he told me, Krista, you could create a universe. And
Yeah.
I didn't understand what he said in that moment, but 2 years later, I created the Mars House.
Yeah.
So this progression from, I think it was really meditation, just listening to your intuition and just experimenting, just thinking outside of the box and just doing wild and crazy experimentation. That's when you can really create something beautiful.
And of course, also when you experiment, you suddenly see the medium, because basically what you're also doing is forefronting, like you're making the medium appear, like people become conscious of the medium themselves, the screens and the lights. And that's, I think a really beautiful aspect also from your work. And because, you're welcome. And meditation is also like, you can compare it like fish are swimming in the water, but they're not aware of the water. And meditation is basically becoming aware of the water, the environment that you're living and breathing without thinking about it.
Correct. Yes, our environment definitely informs who we are and how we think in our mental state. So I think it's art is very important because it actually introduces beauty into our environment, and so it helps us, it heals us. It having an empty wall, it's empty. It makes you feel empty, but when you fill it with something beautiful, it fills you inside. It's wonderful how art can become such a mirror into our into our spirit. It's really interesting.
And it makes people aware of the medium they're in, and to make it more humane, like you say. And one of the interesting things also about this time we live in, especially for artists, and it's something you just touched upon, is that you can now create your universe, like something that wasn't really possible before. And it's kind of connected also to Bitcoin, because you can create those sovereign individuals without intermediaries. So you're kind of returning to the time of, well, you could almost say to the pharaohs, the big pyramids. You can actually make something sublime, because the attention span of people will expand also, their time experience, because the fiat system is of course very fast, snap, snap, snap. And now with Bitcoin, you're going to watch people save and enjoy saving, and only investing in something that is worthwhile and that will withstand the ages of time. So it's like a great time to be alive as an artist, I think.
I believe it, and I think that Bitcoin is one of the greatest inventions of human civilization. I believe it's really going to upgrade us to human civilization 3.0, or I think that we are being upgraded, and it's really going to change the way that we create our societies, and really as a civilization we will become more humane, we'll care more for one another. When people are prosperous, when you have the ability and the mechanisms to store value and to let it grow, and to gain and look to the future with optimism, then every individual will then change their mindset. And I think that people will be more focused on the outside world and the state that we live in, and how we can co-create a better world instead of focused on your own household, your own bills, your own this, your own issues. I think that
Yeah.
if you alleviate that, then people become much more, how would you say, inclined to think about culture and
Yeah.
at large. And that's a good thing. That's a wonderful thing. Bitcoin is, it's a wonderful thing. And I have to say and the NFT
Yeah.
is the supreme art medium. If you consider that I can create something today that will last forever so that
Yeah.
an alien race will discover it and will have a record of our civilization and what we did today. Think about the impact of that. And so, I just think that NFTs and having a permanent record of what we do, and I think that as an art form, it is the supreme medium, immutable, it's cosmic. So it's next level.
And it's nice that you also touched upon that, because I think you called your house the Mars house, because this medium also makes it possible to cross time and space, quite
Correct.
literally. What is
Correct.
your focus on Mars, or why is it called the Mars house?
Oh, well, here's another intuitive decision that I made, and I can't say that I have just one reason, but I like the feeling of calling it Mars House because you're thinking about the future, I mean, here I am in the midst of the COVID crisis, and I really wanted to be transported into another world, and I thought Mars is exciting, and with SpaceX and what Elon is doing. Even though he may not be popular with the Bitcoin community right now. But still, he's
No,
doing some
I
really
like,
cool stuff with SpaceX. Got to give him cred, right?
yeah.
And Tesla. But Mars, is the next frontier.
Mhm.
And so I wanted to create a house that communicates the next vision of the future of where we're going. Because I see a lot of art that looks to the past or looks to a fantasy, but I wanted to create an actual tangible future that we are embarking on that will be the next level, that is metaverse, but it's also, interstellar, that we are actually going to be on Mars someday, in the future, hopefully within my lifetime, within our lifetime.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's possible. And so I just think that, creating an artwork that represents hope for our civilization and not dystopia is
Yeah.
something that I believe in. I think that we're worth it and that we can get there, and that, I believe in the goodness of humanity and that we are evolving. I believe in that. And so that sort of, in a mild way, also, translated into the work.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. Also, ESA, the European Space Agency, is about to launch a mission to Venus. So it seems the universe is, or at least the solar system is being slowly unlocked, or at least a lot of interest is there. But I think the metaverse and AR, VR, Bitcoin, NFTs, space travel, I think we're creating a new frontier. And it's very interesting what
Yeah.
you said. Most of the art has been nostalgic, looking back, like you say. And right now we're going to create art that actually is visionary and that dares us to dream and to invites us to become part of something new that we're building together. Yeah, I really like that vision also.
I mean, when you think it, well, I love Star Trek. I'm a big fan. I'm a Star Trekker, and I loved how you can actually trace the technology from Star Trek into the devices that we're using today. And I
Yeah,
honestly believe that life follows art. And so I look at how that society is like, the people are on a spaceship and they're traveling to all parts of the universe, the galaxy, and I just feel like I always thought, like, how do they make money, or what kind of political system do they live in? And I always ask questions about that, like on a deeper level, like how did they end up transcending the current socioeconomic structures that we live in today. And then, you know, when you think about Bitcoin, you're like, maybe that's how. Maybe
Yeah.
that's how we really create a star, you know, interstellar
Yeah.
existence of humanity, a money that actually stores value, and then we can actually achieve that kind of lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
So, um,
Yeah, and it's kind of ironic also because it's basically a trustless money that will restore trust because of its trustlessness. So, yeah, and you won't send shipments of gold all over the universe. It doesn't work, and paper money also doesn't work. So it should be something that everybody can trust and that you can set scores with. And it's like you say in Star Trek, you never saw any money change hands or. So how did they have a unit of account? How did they keep track of things? And also, of course,
how did they
robots.
build?
Yeah, yeah.
Pardon me,
Yeah.
I didn't get that.
Oh, you know, so robots and the Internet of Things. You also have to keep track
Yes,
of yeah, units. Basically, there has to be an
ab-
exchange of information.
precisely. Yes, exactly. And it's good. It's really interesting how the whole robotics is going to, you know, help us. And you know, there's a lot of fear about AI. There's a lot of fear about robotics and the disruptiveness of these, you know, advancements, right? And
Yeah,
how a lot of jobs and economies will be replaced. But you know, I really want to encourage people, you know, to think outside the box because, and also really think about how robots and AI will serve us. Because I really believe that they're going to help us and improve our lives and find ways to, you know, to make life better, you know, either through, you know, people who are elderly, who need help around the house. You can't always have someone there, but if there's a robot that can help them, like in Japan, they're making such incredible advancements of like helper robots for people, you know, who
yeah,
are, you know, elderly and fragile, right? And of course, you think about also AI and how the advancements of AI and medicine and all the incredible areas, like it's amazing in science.
yeah.
And also with NFTs, when you think about digital programmable NFTs that are going to be available very soon, within the next year, everything is moving very quickly, but it's
Yeah.
really an opportunity for us to, you know, to make life better and to monetize, to create actual opportunity on an entrepreneurial level. Um, I think that we all need to, I think that everybody realizes that technology is here to stay and that, um, you know, embracing it is important. So it's great. Um,
And it's
I'm
also good
optimistic.
to raise awareness, and that's also something that you do with your work and your art, because there's a revolution taking place and a lot of people are
Yes.
indoors, and when you look out the window you don't see it, but there's like a giant sea change coming, a tidal wave basically that is happening behind the scenes. Everybody's
True.
building, and there's big changes. And I think Japan is a very interesting country also in this regard because they have been focused on this um, technological revolution. They have been at the forefront of this technological revolution, and they've been meditating on this technological revolution for 50 years or longer.
Mm. And the thing is, though, I think that Bitcoin and the adoption of Bitcoin is essential for the
Yeah,
survival of any country right now. And I don't think that the adoption rate in Japan is very high for Bitcoin.
yeah,
I think that
yeah,
yeah, exactly. I think that America is leading, right? Only because America is a very, I mean, it's a revolutionary culture, right? The inception of the culture came from that very principle. But I actually believe that, you know, a lot of countries that don't adopt Bitcoin, unfortunately, are going to, you know, experience a lot of hardships. The people will, and we just have to really get as many people educated as possible. And that's what it is. It's just education don't listen to the FUD, don't listen to the lies, and the messaging of the traditional system that is trying to hang on tooth and nail, right? It's
Yeah.
really interesting to see how the world is changing, but this crypto revolution, I believe, is peaceful, and it's silent, and it's efficient.
Yeah.
Those three things.
And I think it will be really interesting to see that those developing countries are probably the ones that embrace it first and fully,
Yeah.
and that they'll have so much benefit from doing that, and that will be, I think, what you call it, vindication, or something very beneficial to them in the future. And I'm very happy for those people that they do that. But I've taken up a lot of your time, and I want to thank you for being on the show and for doing this interview. And I'll post all your links down in the description box so that people can look up your art and all the stuff that you have done, because it's a lot. And you're welcome to come on anytime.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I enjoyed this talk so much, and I love the community. So I'll come back anytime. Thank you.
Thank you. I wish you a really nice day, I think. It looks sunny.
Yes, it's very sunny. It's beautiful outside. I'm about to go for a walk. I need to get some sun.
Then I wish you a very good walk. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
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 So people, that was Krista Kim, amazing artist. We had a wonderful talk, and I really recommend you to check out her amazing art. And she's a spokesperson for crypto and NFTs and for people worldwide, and she's doing really good work. But you're also here to be rewarded for your patience and for your attention and for listening. And you can win 2 times 600 cats. And all you have to do is to go to Twitter and to tag me and Jan and Krista Kim. And you have to tell us what you really liked about this interview, what stuck with you, what really excited you, what you learned. The best answer, or the best 2 answers, I should say, they each win 600 cats. So 600 cats is a lot of cats. Go to Twitter, do the tweet, tag me and Jan, tag Krista Kim, and you might win 600 cats. So people, I really enjoyed this talk. I love doing philosophy. I love doing art. And I love having amazing artists on the show. This was the best thing that can happen to me. So I'm really excited, and I had a really great time. And I want to thank Krista Kim again for being on the show. And I want to thank you guys for being in the comments and watching on Periscope and on YouTube, and maybe also on Twitch. Who knows? To all you guys, I say 2 things: watch, learn, and earn, and makes you wonder. Take care.